Shalom, shalom. Israel's brothers out by Yalla. Right, brother Marquaz behind the camera gonna be teaching too. But like we like to get into a quick cold cut, right? Giving our own honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Right, it's a nice day out here on the Sabbath day. Right, want to come and do a breakdown video, basically going into what you have to possess or what do you have to have before the Lord returns. What do you want to work on before the Lord returns? You want to work on the fruits of the Spirit. You want to work on virtue. You want to work on these different things that the elect will have down packed by the time the Lord comes back. All right, let me get this place up. Right, this is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. Right, this is Colossians chapter 3. I'll start at verse 12. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 12. Put on therefore as the elect of God, holy and beloved. So as the elect of God is gonna have these things when the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua comes back. Bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. So the first thing the Lord said was bowels of mercy. Are we merciful in this thing? Are we merciful in this truth? Or do we just lay judgment all the time? Is there a balance? Remember, there has to be a balance between judgment and mercy. Let me go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, and verse number 1. It says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. Right? And the Lord delights in judgment. Right? Let me go to the book of Psalms chapter 37. The Lord delights in judgment, but he also delights in mercy as well. Right? So this is Psalms chapter 37. And I'm going to start at verse. Right? Let me start at verse 34. Let me start at verse 30. And it says, the mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment, man. Right? So that's what the tongue talks of. If you are a righteous man, is of judgment. But the Lord also wants you to possess that mercy as well, because the Lord is a very merciful God. Let me go to the book of Jonah. So there has to be a balance, right? If you all about judgment and all about, you know what I'm saying, and not showing mercy, what did the Lord do in the book of Jonah? Right? This is Jonah chapter 2. And let me start Jonah chapter 4 verse 2. And he prayed unto the Lord and said, I pray thee, O Yahweh, was not this my saying when I was yet in my own country? Therefore I fled before unto Tarshish, for I knew that thou art a gracious God. And it says, for I knew thou art a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger and great kindness, and repentest thee of the evil of men. So the Most High is slow to anger. He practices mercy. He practices judgment. As the elect of God, you have to have those bowels of mercy. You have to have that as well. Right, let's go back to that in Colossians chapter 3. Right? And it says bowels of mercy, kindness. You gotta be kind to your brother. You gotta show brotherly love. Be affectionate towards your brother, man. Right? And it says, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. Let me get this one more precept. One more passage. This is Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 3. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. So the Lord said you have to first of all wrought his judgment, as we went back to before, judgment and mercy, but you have to be meek. Right? The Lord says, seek you the Lord, all you meek of the earth. That's Matthew chapter 5 and verse 5. Right? And it says, seek meekness, right? It may be you shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. And the elect is going to have that meekness in that day. They're going to be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. So these are different things that we want to kind of possess or have as the elect of God. I'm going to pass it.
Shalom, shalom, brother Marquaz. And that's right. You know, there's certain things that the Lord already said that the elect have. And knowing that the elect already have these things, we want to try our hardest to obtain them, that we may be counted as that number. We go to 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse number 5. Right, 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse number 5. It says, and beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to your virtue knowledge. So in this truth, you want to have that spirit of always increasing. You don't want to be just stagnant, right? You're not increasing, but you're kind of not decreasing. You're just stagnant. Now, ultimately, if you are stagnant, then that is you decrease. But nevertheless, you want to have that spirit of building upon, it's like building up yourself. Right, reading on, it says, and to knowledge, temperance, and to temperance, patience, and to patience, godliness. And again, that's the spirit of increase. Because again, even the Lord himself increased. You don't want to have that spirit, like I said, to where you just at the same level for 3 years. Right? Let me get this quick precept. In the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 3. Right, this is 2 Samuel, chapter 3, and verse number 1. It says, now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. So it said David, he had that spirit to wax stronger. We read the precepts, all of our forefathers, they had that spirit of increasing, that spirit of self-examination. And that's how you increase ultimately, is through self-examination. Right? You see where you lacking in, right? You going through the precepts, you seeing where you lie with the Lord, and from there you begin to build. And before the Lord make his coming, you want to make sure that you done all you did to build. Not just build yourself up, but if you got a family, build up your family. Right? You got brothers and sisters in the truth. Right? Build up your friends, your brothers and sisters in the truth. You got a congregation, build up the congregation. It's always a place to build in this truth. Right? Let me get this real quick in 2 Chronicles chapter 9 and verse number 11. Right, 2 Chronicles chapter 9. Let me get this quick. So, and verse number 11, and it reads, that's not it. All right, we'll go back to 2 Peter. Right, 2 Peter chapter 5 and verse number 7. It says, into godliness, godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. And you want to have that spirit of charity as well. That's one thing that a lot of people don't touch on, is charity. And charity can be many things. Or you can give charity from the clothes off your back. Charity by just staying up late for a brother. Charity by giving all these different things, giving counsel, looking out, being your brother's keeper. All these things go back to charity. Right? And Tobit had the spirit of charity. Let's go to Tobit, the 4th chapter. Right? If you don't know what charity is, or you don't want to, you haven't really gotten to the spirit of charity, read Tobit. Right, Tobit was a mighty man of alms. It's the book of Tobit, chapter 4, and verse number 7. It said, give alms of thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thy eye be envious, neither turn thy face from the poor, and the face of God shall not be turned away from thee. Jumping down to verse 10. Because their alms do deliver from death, and suffer not to come into darkness. So the Lord said alms deliver from death. And again, these different so-called characteristics is what the elect has. And if you want to be the elect, well, it will behoove us to follow these different attributes. Same thing if you in a game. Are you playing Madden? You playing 2K. You going to the creative player. You giving him 99 overall and everything.
Right.
And 99 speed, 99 strength, 99 vision. Or you give them 99 everything. The elect on a deeper level, they have 99 of all of these things. You want to be able to compare yourself on a spiritual level to make sure that you're magnifying all of your talents. Let me get this in Romans 13 and 3. Right, Romans chapter 13 and verse. This is a new Bible. Gotta kind of break it open. Right, Romans chapter 13. It's like in verse number 11 and 13. It's Romans 11 and 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, and so much as I am an apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office. Paul said that no matter what his office was essentially going to the Gentiles, and he said he's going to magnify his office. Everybody has different offices and different gifts in this truth. You want to be able to magnify that for the Lord. Right, let me get this in Sirach 11. Hey, the Lord said the elect shall praise his holy name. And how do you praise the Lord? Through your works. Praising the Lord is not always just verbal, man. All praise to the Most High. All praise to them. But then you're doing off things behind closed doors. Right? Ultimately, praising the Lord and magnifying the Lord is, again, through your works. What you put forth. The different offerings, the different spiritual offerings that you lay before him. This is Sirach chapter 17 and 11. It says, it's like in verse 10. It says, the elect shall praise his holy name. And again, the attributes of the elect is what? Having temperance, having brotherly love, godliness, charity, kindness, and magnifying your office. Whatever your office is, if you a sister, right, you got a head, you don't got a head, you know what I'm saying? You want to magnify your office however you can. Right? Some brothers, they're able to do more things than other brothers. And a lot of brothers, they can't do, you know what I'm saying, some things as other brothers. But whatever your gift is, whether that's alms, whether that's love, exhortation, you want to be able to magnify it. And you don't want to come empty before the Lord. I'm going to get this last one, I'm going to pass it. This is Sirach chapter 34 and verse number 5. Sirach chapter 35 and verse, I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, he that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough, and he that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering. He that requireth a good turn offereth fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. Right? And we're spiritual priests. These are the different offerings that we have to bring forth before the Most High. Verse 3, it says, to depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation. It says, thou shalt not appear empty before Yahweh. And all these different things that we can bring to the Lord. Again, you got prayer, you got fastings. I mean, it's countless amount of accounts in the Bible of just different men with different talents. And you don't want to come empty before the Lord with your talent and the gifts that the Lord gave you. You want to be able to flip that. Why? Because we just read that the elect are flipping these things. They're adding these things. I'm going to finish that off in 2 Peter, get to the point. 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse number 7. Verse 8. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Yahweh Mashiach. And if you have these attributes, the Lord said you're never going to be unfruitful. You're always going to bring forth fruit. That's that spiritual offering to the Most High. That's why it's important to have these attributes. Right? Jumping down to verse 10. It says, wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and your election sure. For if you do these things, right, the things that we just went over, the things that the brother brought out, if you do these things, it says ye shall never fail. And the Lord said you're never going to fail. Only just apply the milk. Essentially, all this is the milk. This is not in-depth breakdown. This is not the deep, dark parables. This is the milk. Right? And the Lord said if you do these things, you're never going to fail. What you got?
So, that's right. If you do these things, you shall never fail, man. I mean, the Lord did these things. The Lord is coming back with a cloak of zeal. Right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 59. The Lord's coming back with that, man. Yeah. Right? You gotta have another thing you gotta have, and you gotta have perfected, is your armor, man. You know, hey, in the world, you know, Jakey's shining his shoes for this game, right? You may be cleaning off your shoulder pads. In the ancient world, they were shining their armor, right? You have spiritual armor that you gotta shine, right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 59, and I'm gonna start at verse 17, right? And it says, for he put on righteousness as a breastplate. So the Lord had righteousness as a breastplate, right? And it says, and the helmet of salvation upon his head. And he put on the garments of vengeance for clothing, right? And was clad with the zeal as a cloak. So the Lord had these things on. The Lord has this. Why does the Lord have this armor on? How do you think he was able to war against Satan when he came in the flesh? He had all of these things on. He had his spiritual armor on, man. The Lord is telling us to have this spiritual armor on as well, right? Why? Because the elect is going to be going through certain things in this world. They're going to be fighting Satan. They have to have these things perfected. Let me go to the book of Ephesians chapter 6. Let's see if the Lord taught us to have these things on. It's Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God. Let's see what the armor of God is. That you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Yeah, before you get that real armor of God, you got to have the spiritual armor of God on first, man. Before the Lord gives you a real two-edged sword, you gotta have this two-edged sword first. You gotta know how to wield this before you know how to wield a real two-edged sword, man. right? And the Lord perfected that already. That's why he's up there in the third heaven now, waiting to have that real two-edged sword, man. Right? And it says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able against this withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, have your loins girded about with truth, and have on your breastplate of righteousness, right? You want the loins girded about of truth. Didn't the Lord have the breastplate of righteousness already? Right? And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, man. In armies, right? They put on their boots, right? In Esau's army, they got their damn boots up to right here, man. Right? The Lord said you got to have your feet clad with the with what? With the gospel of peace. And it says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. So the Lord said you got to have a shield of faith, man. Right? That shield of faith is important because you're going to have people try to come against you in these last days. The elect is going to know how to overcome adversity. Right? Let me get this precept real quick in 2nd Esdras. Didn't the Lord say the elect stood stiffly? What does that mean? It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 2 and verse 47. Let's see if they had that shield of faith. So he answered and said unto them, it is the Son of God whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. If you go into that word stiffly, it means not easily moved, right? You got to stand stiffly for the name of the Lord. That's that shield of faith that they possessed against the trickery or the wiles or the deception of the devil. Let me go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 2. Let's get another account of that. It's 1 Thessalonians 3 and 2. This is verse 3 and 3. That no man shall be moved by these afflictions. For yourselves know that we are appointed thereunto. For verily that when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulation, even as it came to pass, as you know. So we cannot no longer be moved by these by the trickery of the devil, by these tribulations, by adversities, because of that shield of faith that the elect is going to have on in that day, right? Even now, right? Let me go back to that in Ephesians, right? It's Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and taking the helmet of salvation. We read that the Lord had a helmet of salvation. The Lord had that on, and the breastplate of righteousness. He was clothed with the zeal as a cloak. He had these things. We got to have these things. And it says, and taking the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So this is the sword of the Spirit. This cuts spiritual demons, man. The elect is going to know how to wield this. They're not just going to be just not knowing what to do against fights of Satan, man, and the fights of these other people trying to move us in these last days, man. They're going to know how to use this at a very high level. And you need to know how to use this at a high level, right? And it says, praying always. Well, the elect is going to be praying always, with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching. The elect is also going to be watching. Thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. It says for all saints. The elect is not just going to be praying for themselves. They're going to be praying for the temple most of the time anyway. That's why the Lord said for all saints. So if you want to be part of the elect, you got to have on the spiritual armor. You got to know how to wield the Spirit of God, right? And you got to be praying always and watching. Praying always and watching. The Lord was always praying. Let's get an account of that. Let's get the accounts of our forefathers, of the Lord doing the things that we're telling the elect to do, or that the Lord is telling the elect to do. This is Matthew chapter 26 and verse 38. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. Hold on, didn't the Lord tell the disciples to watch? The disciples are part of the elect, right? And watch with me, meaning the Lord was also watching too. And it says, watch with me, verse 39, and he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. So what happened when the Lord got into temptation? The Lord prayed. Didn't the Lord tell us to tell the elect to always pray for all saints? The Lord said for all saints. Let's get an account of the Lord praying for another brother. It's Luke chapter 22 and verse number 31. And it says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. So the Lord said, when you converted, how do you strengthen your brothers? By praying for them. The Lord prayed for other brothers, man. The Lord watched, right? Hold on. Didn't the Lord say the elect shall fast in those days? Right? Actually, let me drop that. So let me go back to that. Let me get another precept, actually. Let me go to 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 17. Pray without ceasing. And that's plain. The Lord said, pray without ceasing. Let me even jump up to verse 14. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient towards all men. And that's what the elect is going to be doing as well. They're going to be patient towards all men. They're going to know how to be long-suffering. They're going to know how to be patient. I mean, we read that in Colossians 3 and 12, right? That the Lord's going to, the elect is going to have that long-suffering on as well, right? The Lord said, comfort the feeble-minded. That's what he did when he prayed for other brothers. This is what you want to have on as the elect of God when the Lord comes back. You need to abound in all things. Let me go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15. So get that on camera. The elect, zoom in on that. The elect is not going to be forcing their dog to just stay talking to their dog. You got an Edomite woman negotiating with her dog. While we trying to practice the fruits of the spirit, she's negotiating with her dog to stop barking. It was made to damn bark, man. All right, see that? This 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. You got madness in the park, man. But we out here for the elect. Right? Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable. You got to be unmovable. The elect is going to know how to be unmovable, steadfast, like a nail in a wall. They're not going anywhere. Always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So the elect is always going to be abounding. Like the brother said, they always going to be growing. The elect is always going to be building. Right? Let me go to the book of Isaiah. The Lord's a builder. The Lord wants us to build. The Lord has us building a nation. It's Isaiah chapter 66. It's Isaiah 65 and verse 21. And they shall build houses. The Lord said the elect are going to be building houses. Hey, on a spiritual level, the elect is building up their spiritual house. They're building up that temple, right? They're building up the temple of the Lord. And it says they shall build houses and inhabit them. That's just Satan. That's just Satan.
Right, you see that? She's having enough. Right, she's having enough.
Right? But once this word come back out, I bet he start barking again.
Right.
And they shall build houses and inhabit them. See that? And they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. Right? They shall not build and another inhabit. So this building that we're building right now, Esau can't inhabit. Esau can't stop this building. These other nations can't stop this building. Nobody else is going to inhabit this but us. For without the courts are the Gentiles, Isaiah 11 and 2. And it says, they shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands, man. And the elect is going to enjoy the work of their hands for the things that they've been doing, for the things they've been going through, man, right? For the things they mastered and for the things they prospered in, man. These are all the things that you want to have on as the elect of God in these days, man, in these last days. You want to master these different things. The elect is going to cut off certain things too. Let's see what the elect is going to cut off, right? Let me go to the book of Mark chapter 9 and 42. It's the book of Mark chapter 9, and I'll start at verse 43. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to be going to hell into fire that never shall be quenched. So the elect is going to know how to make business decisions without emotion. Imagine cutting off your right hand. A lot of people don't want to cut off their right hand. They don't trust that, right? But the Lord said, look, you got to make judgment decisions and you got to cut off the things that's tempting you to sin if you want to enter into life, right? That's what the Lord is saying. Verse 44, wherefore, where's the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. And if thy foot offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter to life than having 2 feet to be cast into hell, into fire that never shall be quenched, where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out It is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye than having two eyes to be cast into hellfire. And that's a judgment decision a lot of people gotta have to make. They have to cut off certain things that get them to sin and cut off certain things so they can enter into life, man. And the Lord said the elect is gonna know how to cut off certain things. Let's see certain things, and I'm gonna pass it after this precept, that the elect has to cut off in these days. All right, let's go back to Colossians chapter 3. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 5. Mortify therefore your members. Mortify means to be cut off, right? Cut off certain things, right? Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth. Fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, covetousness, which is idolatry. So the Lord said you're going to be cutting off, the elect is going to be cutting off covetousness simultaneously with idolatry. Evil concupiscence is evil sexual desire. The elect is going to have that mortified by subduing and enslaving their thoughts and having self-control over their bodies. Inordinate affection, right? Different things that, people indulge in that's not inordinate, right? That's not ordinate, right? Then like bestiality and things like that. Uncleanness, right? Always being unclean. The elect is going to have that, right? Down packed. And fornication. The elect is going to cut off fornication, all these things, man. Right? Also, what else? What else did the Lord say the elect is going to cut off? Verse 8. But now you also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. So the Lord said the elect is not going to be angry all the time. They're going to be slow to anger, as we brought out in Jonah chapter 4, verse 2, like the Lord. Right? They're not going to be wrathful. They're not just going to be punching walls and just be punching things. Right? All right? They're not going to be flinging brothers around the room just because they're angry. They're going to be cutting off malice, right? Fighting blasphemy, right? Filthy lies and filthy communication out of your mouth, right? Meaning they're going to know how to control their mouths in these last days. These are all the aspects that the elect has to master. Like the brother said, 99 overall, right? Go with that out here.
Yeah, brother brought out many strong points, right? Many mighty points. I'm gonna pick off where he left off with the spirit of prayer. Right, so you want to have that spirit where you also praying for one another, right? You want to be your brother's keeper. Let me get that in Genesis the 4th chapter. Let me get that in Genesis the 4th chapter. Because ultimately, if you're not praying for the nation, you're not praying for the body, right? You're not praying for your wife, your kids, etc. I mean, do you really want to leave Babylon? Because again, this is not a one man's army. No, this thing is again, we're the nation of Israel. No, the weakest link, as they say in the word, what's it, how it goes? The weakest link is...
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah, kind of, like the brother said. Right, this book of Genesis chapter 4 and verse number 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And the answer is yes. We are our brother's keeper. Like, we're the ones that's going to look out and check up on our brother, our sister. Because the world is not going to do it. Why? Because they already forsook the world. They have nothing but the nation, the truth, right? The Lord. And again, I'm going to read that again because that's powerful. It said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? And there should be no point in time where the Lord, he comes to you, he's asking you about A, B, and C. You just say, man, I don't know. Damn, I don't really know. Right? You never ask to pray for a brother. Right? You never asking a brother, hey, you know what I'm saying, what you need prayer for, what you're going through. A, B, and C. I know in certain group chats that we got, you got brothers every week that put in prayer requests.
Right.
Right. Hey, what you need? A, B, and C. After camp, right? Brothers putting in what they need prayer for. And you don't want to be that one brother that just neglects all of it. You never pray for the brother, right? You never read, never call and check up on the brother. All you doing is just worrying about yourself. You isolated, doing your own thing. Hey, Paul had that spirit of prayer. Paul, when you read the precepts, damn near after, before every epistle, he kicked it off with, hey, I pray for you, praying always, praying daily. Let me get that real quick. Right, and damn near every epistle, Paul was letting the church know that he was praying for them. Let me go to Philemon, chapter 1. All right, this is the book of Philemon, chapter 1 and verse number 1. Paul, a prisoner of Yahushua Mashiach, and Timothy, our brother, unto Philemon, our dearly beloved and fellow laborer. It says, and to our beloved, it's like a fire, and Archip, It's like, and Archippus, our fellow soldier, and to the church and thine house. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and to the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. I thank my God making mention of thee always in my prayers. He said, I thank God making mention of thee always in thy prayers. You want to make mention of your brothers always in your prayers.
Right.
Every day. Not every day, and at least every other day. Right? Again, it's too many people in the nation that to where you just not praying for nobody. Right? Because again, everybody needs that prayer. Let me go to Slovakia. Let me get this quick precept in the book of 1 Corinthians. Right, 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse number. Let me get this quick precept. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse number 3. Grace be to you and peace from God our Father and from the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. I thank my God always on your behalf for the grace of God which is given by you by HaMashiach Yahushua. He said, I thank my God always. And you also got to thank the Most High for the brothers that you have. You want to be in that spirit of just thanking the Most High as well. Not treating the Most High like a genie. And that's another attribute that the men and women of the Lord are going to have. Right? Just thanking the Most High. Right? Every prayer, you know what I'm saying? It's good to ask for things. It's good to, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you lacking in, you ask the Most High for it. But it's also good to just magnify the Lord. Just thank the Lord. Let me get this in Psalms, the 29th chapter. I believe that's Psalms chapter 29. Right? It's the book of Psalms, chapter 29, and verse number 1. It says, give unto Yahweh, O ye mighty. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship Yahweh and the beauty of his holiness. And again, David had that spirit to just thank and praise the Most High. Glory in him in the beauty of his holiness, the tabernacle, right? The trees that he made, the sky, the stars, right? Just making sure that you're waking up every day. Thanking the Most High for waking up. Thanking the Lord that you're an Israelite.
Appreciation.
Right, appreciation. Thanking the Lord that you're an Israelite in this truth. Right, let me get this in real quick. Songs of the Three Holy Children. And when you read the prayer of the Songs of the Three Holy Children, you see how our forefathers really magnified the name of the Most High. Right, you really see how our forefathers get down with prayer. And every time I read that prayer, I get confounded, I get cut. Why? Because if it wasn't for that prayer, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't know how to thank and glorify the Most High as I actually should. Right, let me get this real quick. Like I said, it's a loose sword. I gotta kind of break this thing down. This prayer of the Songs of the Three Holy Children, this whole chapter is fire. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna just jump. Right, this Songs of the Three Holy Children, verse number 43. It says, O all ye winds, bless ye Yahweh, praise and exalt him above all forever. So you have the winds, and the wind just came from. You got the winds that praise and that magnify the name of the Most High, and they're doing that above all forever. Let me hold them and get wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 1 and verse number 7. Right, this wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and 7. It says, for the Spirit of the Lord filleth the world, and that which containeth all things hath the knowledge of the voice. So the Lord said the Spirit of the Lord, it contains the whole world. The trees got the Spirit, the grass, the animals, the birds that cry out to the Lord. Everything praise and magnifies the name of the Lord besides man. Man is the only creature that takes everything for granted. Right? Again, you got the whales, you got different sea animals, land animals, creation, the creeping and crawling things. Everything magnifies and thanks the Most High. But again, man is just neglecting all these things. Man is an atheist. Right? There's no way in hell is the elect going to be atheists in the last days. The elect is going to be thanking the Most High for the small things. Having fingernails. Right? Having damn eyebrows. Right? Having somewhere to sleep. Having parents. These different things the elect is going to thank the Most High for. And again, you want to be in that spirit of just being thankful, giving thanks. Right? Have your heart towards the Lord. Let me get that in Exodus. We get that in Exodus. Read us chapter 34. All right, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 34, and verse number, let me find this real quick. Right. So Exodus chapter 36. It's the book of Exodus chapter 36 and verse number 2. It says, and Moses called Bezalel and Haloel and every wise-hearted man in whose heart the Lord had put in wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. You want to have your heart to come and do the work of the Most High. And again, all these different things that the brother brought out, the precepts, right? All these things you want to try your best to align your life after. And again, like brothers always say, it's not the deep, darkest man that's going to get the kingdom with all the in-depth breakdowns, right? You getting all the breakdowns just to look cool. Getting all the breakdowns just for vainglory. No, essentially the elect are going to be the meekest men. Like the brother brought out Matthew the 5th chapter. Did you bring that up?
Well, I quoted it.
So I'm going to bring that in Matthew the 5th chapter. It's the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 4. It says, start at verse 3. Blessed are the poor in the spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And again, when you read Matthew chapter 5 and 1 on down, nowhere do you see the Lord talking about the mightiest man, the man, the tallest man with the highest stature, that can bench press the most and call and remember the most precepts. No, the Lord is recalling the things that men take for granted, the so-called low, the low. Verse 4, it says, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they that do hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And the brother brought that out, had that spirit of mercy, had that spirit of being merciful. Meekness. Right, verse 7. It's like verse 8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see Yahweh. Right, and again, you keep reading up, you know what I'm saying, this whole thing fire. Right, but nevertheless, you want to have these attributes. Now I'm going to close out with these last two precepts. Sirach, chapter 43, and verse number 30. The book of Sirach, chapter 43, and verse 30. It says, when ye glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as ye can. And again, it's going back to glorifying the Most High, thanking the Most High. Right, even with your works, glorifying the Most High in your works, with your prayer, your reading, your fasting. You be an example to other brothers, right? It says, reading on, for even yet will he far exceed, and when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. And no man can never go far enough when it comes to serving the Most High God. The minute you think that 4-day fast you did was enough, hey, you went off damn 5 minutes later. It's even more things to do to glorify the Lord. Okay, you fasted 4 days in a row, but you never caught that brother and checked up on him and gave him the precepts. Okay, you did that, then you didn't do A, B, and C. Again, it's always something to magnify and glorify the Lord. It's Baruch chapter 4 and verse number 28. It says, for as it was your mind to go astray from Yahweh, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. And every day you want to try to seek the Most High 10 times more. Okay, I got to do A, B, and C. Okay, I'm strong in this part. Now what about my brother? Come on, okay, what about A, B, and C? Right, you want to seek the Most High. See that? What's this? Oh,
Damn, I missed it. See that?
Right, but you want to seek the Most High 10 times more in all things. But with that, brother Makwa. Oh, you want to finish?
It's cool, it's cool.
Come on, brother Makwa.
Brother Zabayala.
From your Shalom.
Shalom.